OpenAI Dev Day just happened and it's releasing massive updates. And in this video, I'm giving my first impression of these 4 updates and tell you how I think about it as an AI builder. On their Dev Day, they released these 4 features: real-time API, vision fine-tuning, prompt caching, and distillation. So I'm gonna go over each one, explaining what it is and how you would use it in real-life applications, and we'll start there. So the first one is real-time API. So basically what they did was they create a WebSocket. So now you can have an API where you can get real voice back and forth talking with OpenAI and using it to talk with a user, and they can support multimodal. So it's text, audio, or streaming audio back. So this is actually massive. I actually feel bad for a lot of the companies like 11 Labs or some of the other ones. Basically, OpenAI is going to put them out of business by doing this because they're basically doing what they're doing in multiple steps, but they're doing it in one step. So hopefully this works very well. One thing I know about OpenAI is whenever you use the API is almost never stable. So like they might rate limit you and stuff. So I'm a little concerned about the latency problem, but if there is no latency problem, then this will work perfectly. And I think what's going to happen with this is anyone who's doing these voice SaaSes is not going to work very well. I think they would have to sell it as like implementation for clients and less as a product because of what OpenAI did. The next update was fine tuning. So basically now they allow you to fine tune their vision model, where it's just right here. So basically this is massive because for the longest time they can do pretty good analysis on like real life photos, but I think people have very specific use cases. So if you guys want a startup idea of something that is not done yet, is taking circuit diagrams or taking engineering diagrams and using the vision model to understand it and giving you back feedback. So now that they let you vision fine tune it, I think this is massive. I think if this works, this will solve so many problems. And the only problem, like I said, question is what's the cost for fine tuning it, and then what's like how good is it, right? So let's check the pricing page. So let's say that we go like a 480. What's the video format? 480 by 640. Let's say 640 by 480. That's a typical video format. 680 by 480. So that didn't give me a good answer, but all right, let's do the math ourselves. So if it's 150 times 2 is about 300, right? So let's say we need 3, right? So let's say no, we need 640. 640 divided by 150 is about 4 times. So let's say like the cost is 0.000638 times 4. So the cost per image, if we do like 640 by 480, is about 0.002 cents. And if you have this, it depends on how many photos you're doing, right? Let's say you have to do like 100 photos. 0.002 times 100 photos, then it will cost you like 20 cents to do 100 photos. So I think that's not too bad, but I think it really depends on your use case. If you do video work, like if you have to take a screenshot of every second in the video, so times that by 60 seconds, it's gonna cost you 12 cents per minute. So if your videos are very long, this might get a little pricey. The next thing they released was prompt caching. So for a lot of people, it's a little confusing what they mean by prompt caching, but the idea is this. Imagine that you have different prompts where basically like, okay, here's my system prompt, this is all the instructions, and then you say, next thing you ask is like, okay, solve this one problem for me. And then next time, you will copy paste the same system prompt, and then you say, solve the same problem for me. So basically, this is very good if the same system prompt is the same every time, and you're just adding dynamic data to answer you. And it's not good if you have multiple conversations and so forth. So that's what prompt caching is, and I think Anthropic already has this, but they finally have this now as well. So I think this is very useful for like content generation that's like 2-step prompting. So like if you have multi-step, this is not very good. So like you can do for content generation, you can do for reviewing the code and answering questions. You can do it for doing some analysis work where like here's the data, let me keep asking questions about this. So basically they're saving the cost of typing that system prompt and that first prompt. It doesn't save the cost for anything afterwards. But that's where the chunk of the money comes from, right? Like, because there's so many tokens needed. And the last thing I would say is model distillation. So this thing is actually very powerful. So before, there was a model called Orca from Microsoft, where basically this is what they did, right? They had the big model. They take the big model, they ask the questions, and it saves the outputs. So basically, it's creating training data from what the main model is saying, and then the output. And then they take all this data, they make it into a CSV, and then they train it on the smaller model. And now OpenAI is basically helping you have to do this all in one step. Basically, it's like you can track it, and then you can say train it on GPT-4o Mini, which is way cheaper. So this is massive for people who want to train their own models and like create like more specialized models. So this update I think has been very massive. I think these are very big changes. I feel very bad for a lot of the startups who did a lot of work in this space, but that's why I always say it's better to create AI productized service and implementation than to do AI products, because if your roadmap is on the same path as OpenAI, eventually they'll kick you out. So the best AI products to make are like AI adjacent. So like as the AI gets better, your product gets better, right? Or if it's more industry specific, or you're selling implementations to clients. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel to hear more videos about AI.